Now, the subject was on the truth of myself and my own findings, so I don't think I need to write it down. The truth today is going to be the truth tomorrow for me. Now, if I try and condense this into 20 minutes, I think the best way to do it is if I get a new student into my club. The first lesson I teach new students is the first lesson I had to learn, which is how to lose. If you can't live with losing, there's a lesson that you're never going to learn. I've been lucky in some senses. I've lost a lot of close people. Losing close people makes you appreciate life in a sense. So really from day one, the lessons I got was I didn't shy away from loss. I didn't shy away from pain. I didn't shy away from occasions I was going to find myself in, because I thought I'll learn a lesson other people won't learn. So the first lessons I had to learn, when I was doing martial arts, I was in a very traditional style. The kind of style where you expect your instructors to sit under a waterfall. That was the guy. I wasn't allowed to talk to him too much. We got told what questions we could ask him. It was very ritual from the bow to the standing, structured how I expected martial arts to be. My problem came when the words leaving my instructor's mouths were, "This will save your life," in a violent environment, which is the environment I chose to go into for 15 years working in the clubs. Fighting was going to happen, there's no two ways about it. The traditional style that I had, it had the techniques, but the teaching that the guy was giving me just didn't slightly add up for me. I'd stand on a door, and the nice, clean, respectful lessons I was getting in class, try and fit that clean stuff into that mess over there. It just didn't fit. So I left that club after having a slight argument with my instructor when he taught me a technique, and I said, "Listen, my friend, that will not work. What you're missing is..." Now, my instructor was great with the techniques, but I don't think he had the experiences I had. So I found another instructor, and it was a guy called Trev Roberts. He's a great guy. It's an absolute flip side to the traditional side. First time I walked into his club, it was the first time I heard an instructor swear in his actual dojo. I nearly had an heart attack. And I thought, you just can't speak like that. But his honesty was refreshing, disgustingly refreshing. One of the first lessons I got off him was pretty simple. He was teaching, and he's on grades that hit these Hanshi levels. And we had 2 green belts come down from Newcastle. And they were there to train, obviously, with Trev, same way we was. When they came in, we were going through some little techniques from wrist locks, running them around and clotheslining them. These 2 judo kids from Newcastle turned this little thumb lock into a throw. I remember Trev stopping the class and he went, whoa, hold up there, let's have a look at that. And I thought, these kids are going to get a bollocking. They've just gone off the lines of where they were not meant to be. See, in my club, you took half a step in the wrong direction, you're getting push-ups. Your toes are not facing the right direction, there's punishment behind it. These kids went completely off the line, what we class as freestyle, and did a throw. So when Trev stopped the class, I'm thinking, they're getting it. But he didn't. He said, look, let's have a look at that. That's lovely. I like that. Let me have a look. So they got back up and they did it again. He went, right, you lot, sob that lot off. Get over here. We're doing this. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. Trev's at the height, 30 years on the doors. We're there to train with him. 2 green belts, should next to know nothing. And we're learning from them. That kind of gave me a little bit more of an insight on how my life was going to go. I then stopped thinking I was, the boy. I knew things. And I just looked at every single person that walked past me. Now, when I started on the doors, the first thing I wanted to discover was, who am I? In other words, I had ideas of what I was capable of, ideas of what I will and won't do. But when it comes to the crunch, will you actually do these things? And the doors was somewhere where you can't hide. There's no options to run away. You're paid to stand there. Whether it's ego or it's the people stood around you, you don't move. You stand your ground. So the first thing my art had to do was it had to hold water in a violent environment. The training had to change from the traditional side to the dirty side and the scrapping. We had to get used to pain. When I was on the doors there, we started realizing the system it went through was quite easy for me. In the first few years, if somebody stood up in front of me, and he was a big man, and he had the tattoos all over his face, and he's got a reputation, well, I saw a danger, instant danger. So I did the sensible thing, and I smashed the shit out of it quick. I couldn't afford, that our children may be listening to this, so I have to change a few of my words. I couldn't afford to mess around if my life was at stake. I had a family, I had kids to go home to. So in the early days, I'd see a big guy tattooed up, instant danger, you get a feeling inside your chest. That's what I rode off. And I got rid of that danger and I smashed it. 5, 6 years down the line, I was becoming quite au fait with doing this kind of stuff. The same guy would turn up, but I wouldn't see a danger now, I'd see a challenge, personal challenge. I can test myself against him. So we'd get to it, but my mindset would be different. It'd be like, let's see what you've got, mate. Let's see how far you really will go. 3, 4, 5 years after that, we're hitting the 10 years mark, I would see the same guy, but what I'd see then is just a guy who's probably pissed off, had a bad day. I've had bad days. I didn't see a threat anymore. I didn't see a challenge. I'd already proved myself to myself. I just saw a guy who was having a bad day, so I didn't smash him. I didn't challenge him. I'd have a chit-chat with him. Look, mate, come over here. Let's have a chit-chat. Let's have a cig. Let's just see where we're going with this. The fighting become less and less. Now, looking at the systems I went through, in my first early years, what I have to teach white belts when they walk into my club is, learn to lose, kid. You're going to lose. You know, if you can't live with losing, there's a lesson you're never going to get. In every loss, there's a win. You know, you win or you learn, don't you? That was my early days. If I would have tried talking to him like I did when I was 35 with the experiences, I'd have got smashed to shit on that first day because I didn't have the experience. So I don't beat myself up for being the person I was when I was 20. I physically can't. If I did beat myself up for that, or I would have changed what I was with the tools I had back then, I wouldn't be here today. I've been stabbed enough times. We've had enough things going on where you've had to phone up the other half and say, get my stuff ready, stuff's happening. She was always good at getting that stuff ready. In the 30s, if I would have tried smashing the guy, it would have gone wrong. I had to live within the realms of where I was at that moment in time. 35 is when I sussed it and I could talk to the most dangerous man while still keeping sensible. If it goes past the realms of my capabilities of conversation, I'll go back to being Russ at 20. I'll just smash the living shit out of him. Now, while I was training all that, I've become a people watcher, a tester. Yeah, human nature is a beautiful place on the doors because you see the best of human nature and you see the worst of human nature. Not always in the customers, but a lot of the times in the people I worked with myself. First thing I used to clock onto was the way customers were with me and the way customers were with my friend. I'm a very smiley, happy kind of person. So when someone would walk up to my door, I'd smile and go, how are you doing? All good? I'd go, I'm good. Have a nice night. And they'd walk in with a smile. My other friend was, he had issues. he had the frown, he had the scowl. You'd walk in, he'd go, you all right? And the guy naturally would walk past and go, you all right? Then he'd stand there staring at him going, what's his problem? What do you mean, what's his problem, mate? He's not got a problem. Yeah, he has. Just looked at me like that. Just looked at you the same way you looked at him, you fucking idiot. What are you talking about? Ben, listen, when he walked through the door, you looked at him and went, pfft. And he mirrored you. We're mirrors. When they walk past me, I'll do a big smile. Yeah, but I don't have that big smile. Why do you do it? I said, it's easy. The nicer you are, the easier it is to spot a bad man. You know, if you're playing the bad man role, even a good man will sometimes pretend to be the bad man, just because they mirror you. So I've become a smiler. While this was happening, I had to start thinking about the way I teach my classes, the martial arts I'm teaching. It sounds bad when you say I run a system called the mean streets, but the streets we lived on were quite mean. And it was about making them a safer place. When I had to look at my system throughout each stage that I was at 20, I could only look at it through 20-year-old eyes. So again, I could look back and go, you were a blithering idiot, Russ, but I wasn't. I was what I was when I was that. I liken the martial arts to everything else I look at. I love looking at religion. I love looking at spirituality. I love looking at anything, really, that means doing nothing. What I mean by this, I liken the martial arts to the spirituality. And what happened is, in my first system, the martial arts took the truth of what I considered to be the truth that I found out in the end, and they took a little section of it, the katas, the line drills, and they took that over to their side, and that's what I trained in. And they told me the truth within that little corner. But there was something missing on the door. The martial side was missing. The martial mindset was missing. I'd go to maybe an MMA club. You can say that's quite martial. You know, them guys are getting to it every day and they're nailing it. But there was also something slightly missing. If you take martial arts as a complete system, you know, you can punch, you can kick, you can move, you can everything. I mean everything. And then I decide I'm going to just take the throws. We call that judo, don't we? So I'll take this little corner, I'll bring it to my side, call it judo. I'll take this corner, I'll have the kicks, we'll call it taekwondo. I'll have and so on. So what I decided to do with my martial arts wasn't separate it anymore, it was put it all back together. You know, so I stopped thinking about styles. On the religion side, it was the same thing. It's almost like I could say the truth's there within all that. But then one thing will bring it to their side and go, we'll call this Christianity. We'll call this. And every single one just started separating it. And to me, the only way I could see the truth was when I stopped separating things in my own head. When I stopped trying to drag it to my corner with my own biases. Which then goes on, it's a never-ending game. I chased my tail for 10 years trying to find the truth. If you pick any subject, what you've really got to do is do nothing. It sounds strange, but to start with, if I picked your ego and I said, you've got an ego, get rid of your ego. Technically, your ego that's wanting to get rid of your ego. You have an ego, I want to get rid of my ego, so you physically can't do it. What I had to do was just accept it. I've got an ego. The good thing about me when I had to accept that was I had to look deep within and go, am I a good person or am I a bad person? We have these problems when we're working in the clubs because I've done bad things. Technically, I did bad things to bad people, did good things to good people. But you could walk down the street one day and see me stamping all over somebody, and you would put me in a category of a bad person until you found the story out about why we had to do what we did. A classic example, I remember having a guy on the floor that smashed a glass into a girl's face in my club. And at that moment in time, the reason I got on the doors was for what I'd say is justice. I had to hand out some justice. My friends were getting injured. My friend had just lost his eye and it had been took out in town. It was the one night I didn't go out with him and I thought if I was there, that wouldn't have happened. So I went on the doors to catch all these, choose the words carefully, idiots. When I started going on the doors, I was purely there for justice. So unfortunately, I dished it out a lot. I remember one incident, I had the guy on the floor and I was really getting into him. He needed punishing, no two ways about it. From what he'd done to the lady over there, to what I could picture him doing to the next person, I just wanted him out of the game. As I was doing this, these two ladies walked past and she pushed me off him. And I remember stumbling. I went, what are you doing? She went, get off him, you doorman are all the effing same. I said, he's just smashed a glass in a woman's face. She went, you bastard, kicked him in the head. And that's how quick your opinions change. That's how quick your opinion can change. So I used to have a dilemma, am I good or am I bad? I've done bad things. I've had to sit on my bed with my hands in my head in my hands covered in blood, wondering, am I right or am I wrong? So that was one of the first things I had to find. How I knew I was how I knew I was right and not wrong is where my happiness comes from. I discovered there's no such thing as an unselfless act. It's physically impossible to be unselfless. So maybe I say, I'll go and give a homeless person £10. Well, why do I do it? I feel good. I feel good giving him £10. If I didn't, I won't do it. So it's a bit selfish. I do it for myself. But then I clocked, well, that's not too bad, this selfishness you've got, Russ, because it really is geared towards me feeling good, and what genuinely makes me feel good is helping people. Whether I've got to help someone by battering him, or I've got to smash that one, or I've got to maybe pick this lady up off the floor and help her across the road, I don't particularly care. I had to accept quite a few things throughout my training. At the moment, I accept nothing. The reason I accept nothing is I figured out when you're trying to accept things, it's very difficult to do it in an unbiased way. Once you give everything up and you just stop trying, you can see the truth, pretty much. As a white belt who walks into my club, he has to learn to lose. I can give him a black belt lesson, he just won't get it. He has to go through the stages. If there's kids listening to this, you're going to have hundreds and thousands of words up to now, and you might try and think, which one's relevant to me? What you've got to do is just be like a sieve. You might hear one word that changes your life, one word you can latch onto, one little story. Keep it. That's your gold. The rest of it, just let it go. Don't worry, it will come back round again, won't it? By the time you get to 30, you'll hear the same story and the same pattern from a different. There's no rush whatsoever in getting to wherever you want to be. Then we have to think, where do I actually want to be? Where I wanted to be was just okay. That's about it. Nothing more. I wake up, I'm okay. No dramas, no stress. But hold on, there's a stress tonight, Russ. That's nice. That doesn't mean I have to be stressed because there's a stress. I'm going to work. It kicked off last night. We know they're coming back tonight. Do I make it affect my day? What's the point? Same way I teach my fighters when they go to fight. Monday morning, Saturday morning, we're fighting tonight at 8 o'clock. And he's cacking his little pants. What for, mate? Is anyone hitting you just yet? Anyone punching you in the head? Nope. What are you worried for then? Sat here having breakfast, chill out. I'm in the car, driving up there, stressed, worried, panicking. What for? Forget whatever you're going to imagine in your head. It will never materialise as you think it will be. Stop worrying. You're in the car, you're having fun, music's on, we're dancing. Stop stressing. Right up to the point you get to your fight, you're walking down the ring, probably the most amount of time you're going to stress. What's the point? You're on a walkway. Check your friends, listen to the music, have a dance, get your picture. Why stress? No one's hitting you. I get in the ring, the bell goes, no time to worry, the guy's already thrown the punch. I learned how to not stress. But in the early days, all my day would be took up with what happened at the night time. What I did look for was just to be okay. And it was weird, I had to stop trying to be okay to then become okay. Every time I tried to be okay, someone would hit my head and go, yeah, but, and that would be my wrong. So I just stopped. It's like today when I decided I was going to write nothing. Well, I did actually, I cheated, I wrote some last night. And then I looked at it 20 minutes later and changed it. Then looked at it this morning, shut up, just look, Russ, you're going that way. You're going to be stood in front of people, stuff's going to happen, and you will have an experience. And that's pretty much all life is. Experiences you might as well just enjoy, whether it goes right or it goes wrong. I've got a great team of people that train with me at the moment, and one of the ladies that trained rung us up the other day. She went, I'm struggling with meditation. I went, okay, that's nice. She went, well, what do I do? Well, you struggle with meditation, don't you? Quite a simplistic person. Yeah, but I want to get it. Get what? This nothingness. So I'll stop thinking then. Yeah, but Russ, as soon as I meditate, my mind's going. I said, Kathy, I've known you for years. That's your mind. It's never going to stop. So be okay with the fact it goes. So when you meditate and your mind goes everywhere, sit there and smile and go, yeah, that's me. That's me. When you start fighting against it, I bet you just spent half an hour meditating and you come out angry than you did when you started, didn't you? She went, yeah. So then you're known as a blithering idiot. If you meditate and your mind goes in 1,000 different places, smile, because that's just who you are. Tomorrow it might be 1,001. The day after it might be none. Who really gives a shit? You're there. You're in the moment. So on the talks I was going to do today, like I said, the martial arts side of things, I relay these lessons in my classes, in a sense. The way to sell them to not look for things, and you will find it and fluency comes, I do it on pad work, on very basic pad work. I've been told not to bring up participations up today and audiences, so I'm not going to. However, what we do with the kids is, and you can try this, and it's so simple. I hold the pad up, and I go, watch that pad, hit it. They have to look at it and hit it. Hold that one, and they look at it. And you change the pads, and each time you hit it, you've got to look at the target, look at what you're hitting. And all you're going to see is a delay, a judder, a bit of a thick thought in their heads going, you know, because you're preempt, you're looking. So my brain has to see the pad, send a message, and there's that little stagger. I did it with the missus last night. It worked easy. She doesn't do martial arts, but the fluency was easy for everyone to see. So now stop looking, just look here, straight at the centre of my chest. Touch that pad, you hit it. So we're not missing, are we? So we've still missed nothing, even though I'm not looking, I've not missed it. Of course you've not. You started lifting it up and it's not looking and it's just tagging. The fluency started coming. Try it. When you look at something, you're going to... So when we're teaching the kids martial arts, you're technically teaching them life. You're going to have an exam sometime. You're going to stress. There's no benefits in stress, my friend. I'll promise you, whatever the worst worry you've got in your head is not going to be there when you turn up. And if you have built it up to be a worry up here, you're going to smash something that didn't need smashing. While we're teaching the kids, you go, that's your white belt stage. Then you've got your middle stage. I think they're the light bulb moments when you go, oh, I think I get it. Probably your most dangerous stage. It's when you fall over, when you start banging into things, when you start clocking stuff you're not meant to. Black belt level, it's a bit strange, but you kind of go to nothingness, emptiness, the no mind. On the talks today, we had 20 minutes to do it. I could honestly try and, an hour and a half would be good for me to explain something called the truth. There's two sides to the truth on how I saw it. Who am I? That's all I needed to know. Technically, I'm just you. I'm you. If I stand on the door and I saw a guy walking past me with a shitty look on his face, I've had that shitty look. So I'm him. I've been you, mate. I've got someone who's laughing in the corner. I've been him. I know exactly where you are. I don't think I've ever seen anything since I stopped looking for stuff that I can't relate to and recognize and go, I understand where you are at that moment in time. It doesn't mean tomorrow stress won't come and issues won't happen and someone won't take a swing, but I take it so much differently now. It also means that I was talking to my original doorman I worked with, the frowner. You all right? Yeah. He's got a problem, Russ. Yeah, you're the problem, mate. It's you. It's like working with a customer who wants to wind everyone up. I was talking to him, I said, isn't it strange, mate? In the first few years of working the doors, we fought every night. I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6 fights a night, proper scrapping. 5 years down the line, we weren't scrapping as much. We kind of let the waif and strays go and we just took on the big boys. Last 3 years of working the door, I don't think we really had to do much. I hit people, I put them out, I put them to sleep, but fighting disappeared. I couldn't be bothered with fighting. I found an easier way of getting around it, and sometimes if they've got to go sleep, they've got to go sleep. But I certainly won't challenge you in a fight. I'll sneak around the back of you. I'll pretend I'm your friend. Then I'll put you to sleep. Now, in the 20-minute talk, which we've just pretty much got through, if I said, how do you summarise all this up? It's a bit odd. If you really want the truth, do nothing. If you want to see everything, look at nothing. When you look at nothing, you will see everything. When I look just at them legs, I'm going to miss them hands. When I look at your hands, I'll miss the feet. If I'm just aware of the situation of where we're in right then and then, you've got a 100% better chance of getting the outcome that you want. When you think about what the outcome was, that's when the little dilemma of good or bad comes in. If you do bad things, that doesn't technically make you a bad person. I bet each and every one of you has got a story in here you really don't want the rest of the people to hear. And that'll always happen. I've got quite a few. So my dilemmas was having to sit there and wonder, am I good, am I bad? How do I work it out? I know where my genuine heart is. I know where my feelings are, looking after my family, looking after people. I went on the doors to stop the baddies, but I did have to do bad things in between all that. To summarise this up, the day everything got really easy for me was, I'm okay being not okay. I'm all right when I'm bad. I'm all right when I'm good. I'm all right when I'm indifferent. I really don't care in the slightest. And there's a certain amount of freedom that comes with that and less fighting. So I'd like to thank you for the 20 minutes. I don't know what you'll take from it, but as it is, one small little bit of information that might go, I'll have that. To me, it's worth a 20-minute chit-chat. I'd like to thank you for the 20 minutes. I've probably run over. I can talk all day. And the truth, my truth, might not be yours, but the day you stop looking for it, it's kind of just there, always has been. And thank you for your time.